The drama surrounding the future of boxing's newest financial empire has erupted into a storm of uncertainty, and the echoes of that reality are now shaking the foundations of the sport. For the last few years, Turki Alalshikh and the PIF have been pumping unprecedented sums of money into boxing, buying up talent, staging glamorous supercards in Saudi Arabia, and convincing fans that a new golden age had arrived. For a while, it looked unstoppable. It looked limitless. It looked like the sport had been reborn under a shining desert sun. But now the tone has shifted. Reports suggest that the seemingly endless fountain of cash is slowing down, that a financial pullback is coming, and that by 2026, the boxing world may be staring at a drastically different landscape. What began as a bold attempt to reshape boxing on a global scale is now showing signs of strain. Behind the scenes, sources say that the massive investment strategy was never financially sustainable, and that other major projects within Saudi Arabia's development plans now require priority funding. The ambitions were enormous, the events were extravagant, and the checks were jaw-dropping. But the reality of business has a way of snapping even the most fantastical visions back to earth. Turki Alalshikh's model depended on the belief that he could buy the best fighters, control the biggest fights, and then somehow sell that to a global audience. But boxing isn't built that simply. It never has been. For decades, the sport thrived in America because of American fans, American broadcast windows, and the culture that supported late-night fights, big rivalries, and local fan bases. You can't rip boxing away from that ecosystem, drag it across the world, and expect the same energy and the same financial foundation. Afternoon cards in Saudi Arabia had to compete with college football, college basketball, tennis, and 100 other sports dominating American screens. It was never a fair fight. Boxing's timing, its traditions, its rhythms, they grew out of a specific environment, and no amount of money can manufacture that somewhere else. Even in the UK, where boxing culture is strong and deeply rooted, the side effects of this financial migration have been devastating. Domestic cards were gutted. Promoters lost fighters to massive paydays abroad. Local shows dried up. The ecosystem suffered because the biggest stars were being siphoned into one-off spectacles that left nothing behind for the sport itself. Now the UK is scrambling to rebuild that domestic foundation, trying to bring fans back to local arenas after the Saudi gold rush drained the scene of momentum. Meanwhile, fighters who jumped at the money, many of them young, many of them unprepared for the level of opposition they were thrown into, have seen their careers derailed. Jared Anderson is one of the clearest examples. Once considered the future of American heavyweight boxing, Anderson took a fight he wasn't ready for because the check was too big to refuse. His promoter warned him. His team warned him. But the lure of quick money pulled him out of his development path and into the jaws of Martin Bacol. Now he's facing Frank Sanchez, another dangerous style matchup, and the road back to stable progression has become a labyrinth instead of a straight line. The same story repeats across divisions. Young fighters thrown into premature wars. Matchups made for spectacle, not development. Promising careers rushed for the sake of stacking another supercard. For fans, the shows were dazzling. But for the fighters, many will feel the consequences for years. And now the financial reality is catching up. Despite the claims of unlimited wealth, the cracks are showing. The all-money, no-profit necessary narrative has begun to crumble under the weight of repeated pay-per-view charges and rising subscription fees on platforms like DAZN. If the money were truly endless, fans quietly wonder, why are the prices going up? Why does every card seem to come with another fee? Why are cost-cutting whispers suddenly swirling around a project that once claimed to operate without financial limits? Turki Alalshikh and Ring magazine have rushed to deny the reports, but that is expected. When a leak threatens the perception of stability, the first countermeasure is denial. Contracts have been signed. Obligations exist. Fighters have been promised the moon. Public reassurance becomes necessary even if the truth behind closed doors is more complex. The truth is simple. The venture was always extremely expensive, and those within the system, especially those unfamiliar with the American market, weren't always surrounded by people with genuine business expertise. When someone appears to have limitless funds, every advisor becomes tempted to stretch budgets, inflate costs, and capitalize on the moment, knowing the gravy train may not last. And now, the train appears to be slowing. If Turki Alalshikh shifts focus away from boxing, the sport will feel the impact immediately. Fighters who grew dependent on massive Saudi purses may find themselves without a financial fallback. Promoters who abandon domestic markets in favor of international paydays may be left scrambling. And fans, especially casual fans drawn in by the spectacle, may drift away once the super events slow down. In a sense, this entire saga is a reminder of an old truth. If something feels too good to be true, it usually is. For a moment, Saudi Arabia's boxing era seemed like a miracle. Lavish cards, dream fights, and money flying in every direction. But miracles are expensive. And when the bill comes due, someone has to pay it. What comes next? Possibly a scaled-back model, fewer grand events, more selective spending, and an emphasis on profitability rather than spectacle. Maybe a shift toward video game licensing or media partnerships that cost less and return more. Maybe a quiet retreat, with boxing simply no longer fitting into the new financial priorities of the PIF. Whatever happens, the sport will need to adjust. The promoters in America will have to rebuild. The UK will have to rebuild. Fighters will have to find traditional development paths again. Boxing will return to its natural ecosystem, the one that sustained it long before the desert flashbulbs blinded the world. For fans, this moment isn't just about finances. It's about the future of the sport, the direction of matchmaking, and the long-term health of boxing's global scene. The era of endless money may be fading, and now the sport will have to rediscover its roots. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of boxing's biggest unfolding stories, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more dramatic breakdowns, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. What do you think? Is the Saudi boxing era ending, or is this just a temporary slowdown? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned, there's much more to come.